I'm from the School of Public Health. This is Vidima. She's from CAT School of Business, and that's Hagrid from this Information Science School. Basically, our topic is human trafficking, just like the first one we heard. And we were really inspired by your speech, and we went home and discussed it, tried to think about the different levels, the different ways human trafficking occurs. We broke down the different targets. There's 5 to 10-year-olds, 11 to 14-year-olds, and 15 to 19-year-olds usually, and they're all vulnerable in some kind of way, psychologically, emotionally, economic. Some lack the social net, safety net. There's natural disasters, political instability. So there's so many different types of vulnerabilities they can have. And actually something we found interesting to bring it back to Pittsburgh, 3% of all calls made to the National Human Trafficking Hotline actually come from Pennsylvania. And just in 2017, there was a bust for a human trafficking case right in Squirrel Hill. So not that far from where we are right now. And yeah, I didn't even hear about it, and I don't live that far from there. So it's a problem that's still going on. Basically what we started to do is we did some research on the games that are already there for human trafficking. We did find one that it's called ACT, and it's basically a story-based, it's an educational game. You can find it on your phone, Apple, Android, and it basically takes you through, like you're in a mall and you choose the different signs of human trafficking that you see. But it's not really very interactive, or it's not really, the story isn't really a story. It's just you're in a place and you're just trying to find the signs. And the other game that we actually found is called Missing, which we based our name off of. So this game is actually based in India, and it's a girl that's already been kidnapped, and we just have to help her escape from the slums of Kolkata. She's in the ring of prostitution. But the thing about this game is it's for a mature audience because of the dark themes, and that wasn't really our aim or our goal or our target for our game.
So basically what we targeted was we wanted to target the age group of 5 to 19, because these are the children who are so immature, who want education at this point of time. So our game is more of a storytelling and your decision-based game. So we are presenting you a model which would be based on how you choose your choices, and it will be an educational game for you. We have used technologies like Python and machine learning for that, and our players would be exposed to different scenarios that are well thought and well chosen, and these are the real life scenarios for us. We can have a demo for understanding.
Okay, so basically when you start the game, you get options of different characters. For right now, we've created 4. There's 2 males, 2 females, and we have different age ranges, because human trafficking targets all kinds of different ages, all kinds of different backgrounds. And what we created is we started off with 4 completely different backgrounds. There's a 7-year-old male who's forced into labor, and then a 10-year-old male who ran away from home, a 13-year-old female who we're going to focus on. She's a victim of online chatting, and a 16-year-old female who's a victim of an online dating site. So if you click on the character, you are taken into the storyline, and basically we set up like an introduction telling you how old she is, where she's from, kind of immersing you into her life, telling you about her traits. This is basically her at school. She's bullied, she's lonely, and she's isolated, so she has those vulnerabilities. Even at home, there's really no one to look after her. Her mom's barely there, so she's vulnerable in that sense too. She has no one to go to, even at home. So basically, this is like a normal day. She goes upstairs, she turns on her computer, and she basically logs on to our version of Facebook, and she sees pictures of kids in her school, like hanging out at the park, and she feels like, oh, I want to go there, and I wish I had friends and had people to hang out with. I wish I could do this. But then friend request shows up. And you get 3 options. You get to accept, reject, or ignore. And we're just going to go through a scenario if we ignore it. So basically, the name friend is Jennifer. She's requesting, she says that I go to your school. I just want to chat. Just would you accept it? And let's say that you do accept. You start this conversation with her, basically saying hi, and so she establishes that she's in your class. So there is a sense of reliability there. And the thing about human traffickers, they actually, sometimes they'll stop their victim, they'll know all about them. So the trafficker knows that she goes to the school, that she, what class she's in, who her teacher is. As you can see, Mrs. Smith. It says reading a comic, so the stalker, the trafficker has followed her either to a comic book store, seen her reading something, so he knows her interests. He knows that she's lonely, she's vulnerable, so he's done all his research. But she doesn't know this because all she knows is there's a picture of a girl her age that goes to her school, and he has all the right information. So he asks her, do you want to be friends? And she says, okay. And then he asks her, do you want to meet up at the park, just like everyone else? And once she agrees to that, so basically she packs her bags, and there is an option here that you can tell your parent where you want to go, or you can leave, because this is actually one of the problems, that people don't tell adults what they're doing. So she sneaks out, she goes to the park. It's 8 p.m. and she's looking for someone who's in her school clothes or someone familiar, but then she meets someone who's a lot older and who's a guy. And he says that I'm Jennifer, and basically, like, we stop the story there. After this screen, it basically tells you the different mistakes that you made during the story. Basically, accepting friend requests, revealing stuff about yourself online, even though you don't know them. All this stuff is what we tell children usually in schools. Everyone will learn this: cyberbullying. Don't go online. Don't accept people you don't know. Don't talk to people you don't know. But the thing is, there's no game to actually show you what happens. You're just told, and no one's really going to listen to what they're told, honestly, if you're a little kid. So, okay. That's the basic, that's just one storyline of our game. Since there's going to be so many different characters, we can add so many different more. There's a million possibilities in the storylines. And the main goal of this is to reach those who are at risk. So basically there's 3 stages in human trafficking. If you're a victim, you're at risk, and then you're in the ring, and that 1% that gets out. So we targeted the first stage, those that are at risk. And we wanted to give them some type of scenario, real life experience to show them what could happen. And we want to reach our target population by spreading this in schools, telling teachers that they can offer this as an option. There's actually a program in the UK where an actress goes to different schools and does role-playing games. But the thing is that they can't reach as many schools as a game can. If we send out a game, we can reach many schools at one time. And there's actually, if you look at child psychology, if you give them a game and you give them a role to play, you're in that first person point of view, something happens to that character, the child will think, that's happening to me. So it's going to make a bigger impact on them, and it'll actually be able to teach them to stay away from all these behaviors and to not be caught in this ring.
Since you noticed that we were recording each and every response of our player, so what we are going to do with that response is that we want to evaluate that where he did wrong. What was the wrong part that was performed by us, by the player. And what we can do with that evaluation is that we can use these reports, parents can use these reports, counselors can use these reports, teachers can use these reports. They can read about the behavior of their child, about the mental health of the child, about the state of the child. There are many unsaid things that they cannot tell you, but via these games and via these reports can actually read the mind of the child. And a mind of a child who is 5 to 19 years old is easily manipulated. You can actually get into the right path by the right stories that you can put in. And because we have a very generic model, it's not only limited to human trafficking. You can also study about depression, about the anxiety state, about the stress levels of the students via this model, because it's all about the stories and how you are going to use them. And in US itself, there are about 70 million of people in the age group of 5 to 19 that you can target slowly. And by universities or schools or counselors and their parents, if they're ready to accept such a model, you can do wonders by this.
So you mentioned that it was a game with mature themes, and obviously it does, but you brought up the age range of 5 to 19.
The mature themes is actually the game that's already in place. It's called Missing, and that's completely where the character's already in a human prostitution ring, and you have to help them escape. So that game is for mature audiences, so we wanted to target a game for younger, the people that are actually at risk.
Okay.
And I like that, because that's the whole thing.
Yeah, there's no games for the people at risk. That's who we want to help first.
Questions? Other questions?
So when you're going through the text messages, does it actually change anything depending upon what you choose? What kind of meaningful choice is your player making in your game? Is what I mean.
Actually, the text messages, the text message theme is that how a player chooses these options. He has 3 options. He can choose anything he wants, and his story would be moving forward by the option he is choosing. We wanted to actually show you the trap that he is getting into. So this was the choice that we chose. But he has numerous options that he can choose. And eventually we are evolving. We would like to evolve our model based on the learnings that we find on how is he reacting to different situations. So we can show him the practical solutions which are based on his theme or which are based on his vulnerabilities, not a general one.
So yes, the story will
Ideally,
change.
the story evolves
Yes,
as
the
you
story
play, yeah.
evolves.
Okay.
Good questions?
Even if you hit reject right in the beginning, it'll tell you this is what you did right.
Oh.
Like you don't have to press accept right in the beginning. So.
Okay.